Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving value's contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
What episode is this? I don't see the number there.
518.
518. But the reason why this is special is because it's at our new building. Now, you may not see it. You may think we're at the same exact place, but we're not. And maybe we'll do some B-roll to show you afterwards what this place looks like. But we're excited to be at this new set. Shout out to everybody on the other side who worked all weekend long to get this prepared. You know who you are. Chad, Kelly, Jake. I don't want to misname Rob. So you got to help me out. Rob. Who else was there?
Humberto,
everybody.
Barney, Tom,
Julius, everybody.
Barney, the facilities
Jared,
guy, man.
You guys are amazing. Adam wasn't here for a second, but you guys were amazing. Phenomenal job. Thank you. They worked all weekend long to get this done. And a special surprise. Yesterday, while we're doing all of this to get it ready for today, I had a podcast to do with somebody that we've been trying to do for a long time. This isn't somebody that, for some of you guys that love the mob interviews I've done in the past, Michael Francis, Sammy, Frank Collada, Oscar Goodman, Phil Leonetti, Ralph Natali, all these guys. We finally sat down with John Gotti Jr. Yesterday, and it was almost a 4-hour podcast. A lot was covered, a lot of shots fired. It's going to be intense. It was very emotional. I think got emotional twice, Rob, if I'm not mistaken, when you opened up and shared a couple stories. But that's going to be going out here soon. So the crew came. We did the podcast at the other building. Then they came back here, worked all night to get this ready. Shout out to them. Anyway, stories to go through. A lot of stories we got to go through here today. One, with what happened with Syrian rebels toppling Assad, transforming Middle East. We got a lot of things to talk about there. Netanyahu hails historic fall of Bashar Assad in Syria, credits Israel's attacks on Hezbollah and Iran. Okay? Stories with Trump. Trump will pardon January 6 rioters on day one. By the way, Trump did an interview with, what is her name?
Kristen Welker?
He did the interview with her. And I have to tell you, I think it's one of the best interviews I've seen. It was phenomenal on the interview. Back and forth questions. We'll play a couple clips. It was phenomenal one part when she says, so now that you are going through this, what are you going to do? America's divided. And while America's divided, he says, wait a minute, I'm not even the president yet. What do you mean? How come Biden's not bringing us together? There was so many phenomenal moments between the two of them. We'll show you some of the reactions to it, so hang tight for that. Black Lives Matter leader sparks outrage as he claims KKK got another victory and rant outside Daniel Penny's trial because of Daniel Penny being acquitted. There's a lot of interesting things going on there in New York. Some happy, some not. We'll address both. Then the UnitedHealthcare CEO assassination, Brian Thompson, they finally identified the shooter, Luigi Mangione. And by the way, he's not what you would expect him to be. He's got a very interesting background, but we'll cover that as well on what happened with him and some reactions from some people defending him, which is very, very radical. But again, that's the part of discussion and hearing both sides. We'll cover that. Donald Trump and Jill Biden had a very, very unique, I want to say, intimate moment that
story.
Prompted one of the greatest commercials of our time for cologne called Fight, Fight, Fight. Even your enemies cannot resist.
I'm wearing it right now.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right, next. More drone sightings reported in Jersey. Some drone sizes of cars, by the way, apparently, the size of drones. There's a clip between Piers Morgan and Neil deGrasse Tyson. We have to cover this because at this point of the game, I don't know where he's going next, Neil deGrasse, but he sounds like he's kind of trying to defend his argument and it's working against him. I want to get your thoughts on it. We'll show it to you. Jay-Z denies allegations he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old in 2000 with Diddy Combs. This is a CNN story. We'll address that as well. California sheds more than 6,000 jobs due to fast food wage laws. Couple stories there with California. And then Anna Navarro and Whoopi Goldberg got into a heated exchange on The View.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty bad.
I love it.
Vox Media split with ex-WAPO reporter Taylor Lorenz after explosive comments about UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. It was so bad that even Piers Morgan had to say, what's the story with the joy? Why are you so happy? Why are you reacting this way? You'll watch this clip as well. And then we got a couple other things we'll show you in regards to Syria. But it's great to be on here with you guys. Before I get right into it, gang, we are in that season. Month of November was incredible for us with the amount of people that have wanted to sport the Future Looks Bright gear. I want to give a shout out to all of you guys. We had more purchases made in the month of November for Future Looks Bright gear than the last 2 years combined. I want you to say that again. Let me say that one more time.
Amazing.
More. This brand is getting out there and people want to represent it. When you go out there, I went to a tournament this weekend. You go places, people pulling up, Future Looks Bright. So, weather's a little bit cold, here's what we got. By the way, the material of these sweaters, I dare you to order one and return it. I dare you. Order it, put it on, see what it feels like. The gold Valuetainment, where you walk around the mall or school, anywhere, gym, people look at you and say, hey, me too, man, I'm a Valuetainer as well. And on the back, it's got a Future Looks Bright, gold written. It's incredible, the material with it. Then we have, for those of you guys that are going out there to the gym, working out, you want to represent USA, you're a proud American. We got this workout gear USA with the back, Future Looks Bright, with the American flag. Look how sick that is, by the way. Right? That's out there as well, Rob, if you can pull that up.
Embroidered, man. That's
yes,
really quality.
And these sweaters, again, these sweaters that just came in, that just dropped. These logos at the back and the Future Looks Bright and more stuff with the pants that go with it or the what do you call it, the polos that we have. Go to vtmerch.com, place your order. First 100, again, get the Future Looks Bright mugs that we have as well. But these sweaters are incredible quality material, priced very well. Get yourself one of these. There's many different options to choose from, and every one of them on the back of it says Future Looks Bright. We're very optimistic. I saw, again, Elon Musk tweeted saying Future Looks Bright. Everybody now is going out there saying Future Looks Bright. These next 4 years are going to be special next 4 years. I hope you got a specific plan for what you're going to be doing the next 4 years. Having said that, let's get right into it. Rob, if you don't mind pulling up the clip of Trump sitting down with, did you say Kristen
Welker, yeah,
Kristen
MSNBC.
Welker. What's the other
press.
girl's name from CNN? Kristen something?
Shayna Bash?
No, the other one that, okay, so anyways.
Caitlin Collins.
Okay, so
She
Kristen
has
Welker.
no upper lip.
Kristen Welker's the one that
Vivek,
Vivek faced off on at the debate.
Yeah.
So they're sitting here. There's so many different clips and topics, but I thought it was a phenomenal 1 hour and 15-minute interview to watch. Rob, which clip is this one that you had? There's a couple of them I want to react to.
Talking about Joe Biden being the divider.
Right, go for it. Go ahead and play this clip.
To tell you this because you've talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is deeply divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. Why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when you say the country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No. I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president, I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him, I think definitely, is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me. He went after his political opponent violently because he knew he couldn't beat him. And I think it really was a bad thing. And it really divided our country.
Sir, Democrats have control of the White House now. They didn't in 2020. If they are going around stealing elections, why
when you
didn't
say
they do it
Democrats
this
have
time?
control
Watch his
now
answer.
Of the White House.
Yeah.
So
Watch.
why didn't they steal this
Perfect
election?
answer.
Since they have more power
Watch
now.
this.
Because I think it was too big to rig.
Yes. Gangster. Yeah,
So you
silent.
She doesn't have
Too big
anything
to
to
rig.
say. Okay.
Ooh.
By the way, that was fantastic, right?
Love it.
Now, while you're reacting to it, Vinny, I'll come to you. Rob, can you find a clip of him talking to her about immigration and border and Obama? If you don't have it, I'll send you the clip as well. But your thoughts on what he just said to her.
It's facts, and it's the proof is in the pudding. Okay, these people and these. I was on Piers yesterday, and I told these leftists, MSNBC, CNN, if they don't start changing their tunes right now, and they can't help themselves, they are going to be out of work. Okay, they're already getting pay cuts. It's like, and he shouldn't. Why should he concede? Why would you concede the 2020 election? It's been proven that they cheated. The FBI at Twitter and what all those mail-in ballots overnight. I think I'm so happy and it's so refreshing, Tom, that he is back and he has that same attitude. He hasn't missed a step.
Tom. Oh, I agree. I don't think these are clips. I think these are rounds. And that round one there, she took a knockdown. The media is in coping mode. They are coping. So what are they doing? They are blaming the people that were inside Kamala's campaign. But they are explaining away what happened with the voters, and they are full of excuses. And what they are attempting to do is spin into a reality that fits with the coping mechanisms in their head. They're in denial. So the country is so, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? And you say, wait a minute. I'm not the president. He's the president. He divided it. So don't try to spin this on me. And so that's what I think. You're seeing them in coping mode. They don't know where to start, and they go off on these angles, and they stick their chin out, and they get hit.
And Tom, and we're talking about, what is this? Meet the press, okay? You want to talk about dividing the country? It's the mainstream media. Excuse me. That's why nobody trusts them. Like, do we not forget? They went for a whole week saying Trump was Hitler, okay? And then you want to talk about dividing the country? If you make one guy out to be literally Hitler, this is all BS, bro. They just can't help themselves. They're getting a paycheck. I don't even think she believes what the hell she's saying.
Christian Walker keeps getting hit. I mean, Vivek knocked her down in the first round at the
RNC.
The RNC in Miami, and now Trump has knocked her down. This poor Christian Walker is spending more time on her back than Kamala Harris. That's in the middle of coping season.
Well, I would tell you, I don't know how much time she's spending on her back, but what I would tell you is that I actually like this interview. Like, I wanted to watch this interview, and I think she was the right person to do it. I was actually very impressed with the way this interview turned out. Where I was interested to watch, I watched the whole interview. Rob, can you play the clip, and then I'm going to come to you. Play this thing. Is this the one about what are you going to do when you send them home? Zero separation policy, that exchange. Is this the one?
Correct.
Perfect. This is the one, folks, you have to watch. Because the way he turned it on her, she had to pause for 2 seconds because she had nothing to say. Watch this.
Let me ask you about some of your other promises on this topic. You've promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
We're the only country that has it. Do you know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need two, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you.
This is not the clip, Rob.
Thanks for watching.
It's the other clip that, just play the clip I sent you if you have it. It's a TikTok clip. And it's phenomenal. Watch this.
Obama, you do know that.
Rewind it a little bit, Rob. There you go. Watch this, folks. I just love the way he answers this. Go ahead.
You also had it with Obama. You do know that.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
And you also know he built the jails for children.
He didn't have a zero tolerance policy.
But in 2014, he built the jails. You know that.
I want to ask you about the zero tolerance policy. I mean, he didn't have a systemic, we
don't have to separate a family. Excuse me, Chris.
Watch this. This is
we don't have to separate families.
Listen.
We'll send the whole family very united back to the country.
Very united.
That way the family's not separated.
Look at his face.
So no more family seperations. You're not reviving the zero tolerance policy.
It depends on the family. The family may decide to say, I'd rather have Dad go, and we'll stay here.
Did you get it?
Yeah, Dad. We don't want Dad here.
The brilliance of Adam. Thoughts?
So a couple of things we just discussed. Birthright citizenship, country being divided, and the 2020 election. So let me just start with the basic one. Listen, guys, Trump lost the 2020 election. Period. Full stop.
No, he didn't.
Okay, well, Joe Biden's the president, so
doesn't mean
I don't know what fantasy land you're living in. However, there were some irregularities. We all know what happened with the Twitter files. We all know what happened with the New York Post. We all know what happened with Hunter Biden laptop. But don't get it twisted. They presented 60 court cases. The majority of them were dismissed. I know you're going to cite the one thing that maybe Joe Biden's the president, but we're looking forward, not backward. If you want to just try to revisit and re-engage in the 2020 election, have at it, Hoss. But here's the deal. The country has been divided. It started, I would say, early 2000s with Clinton, Newt Gingrich, everything happened with there. And it's been descending since George W. Bush. Obama was definitely a divider. When Trump showed up in 2015, 2016, not exactly a synergist, but I think he has a very unique opportunity to actually bring the country together right now. As far as birthright citizenship, he is right. I think we're the only country in the world where as long as you don't even have to be a citizen. You could cross the border, drop an anchor baby, boom, the baby's now a citizen. There's a viral clip he talked about, you have to have at least one parent who's a citizen. You can't just show up and have a baby and then boom, the whole family's there. So there's a lot of valid points here. And I think, bottom line, he does have a unique opportunity to reinvent his legacy.
Play the clip because he said Trump did lose the 2020 election. When she brought this up to him to say, will you concede the 2020 election? This was his answer that he gave to her. She specifically wanted him to say, now that you won, can you please come out and say you concede? That's what he said.
This is your first interview since you won the election.
Congratulations.
Yes,
I hope
congratulations
you do well.
to you.
I hope you do well with it.
Yes, and sir, I don't have to tell you this because you've talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is deeply divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. Why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when you say the country is deeply divided,
we saw this one.
I'm not the president.
Concede.
Yeah, concede. Yeah, he won't.
He won't concede.
He won't. But here's the thing, Adam. No. Hold on. Going to your point. She's bringing it up. He's past it, but he's not talking about it. But Adam, if we don't admit and come to terms of what they did, like we all know, you know this yourself. If you want to call it election interference, it's cheating. They cheated. Their guy won. The mail-in ballot situation with the harvesting, it worked. Hey, hats off to them. He'll never do it. And we, as his supporters, I'm not going to sit there and go, yeah, let bygones be bygones. Because what if next time, Adam, it's not too big to rig? And they do the same shit again. And then another virus, which Peter Hotez is saying, he's predicting viruses out of his ass. Oh, January 21st, the day after Trump is coming in, there's going to be another one. So no, we have to figure out what happened.
The magic flip the switch virus.
Yeah, switch. Yeah.
January 21st.
And then, right, don't we have to keep them, be honest, Adam, we have to hold them accountable. If they did what they did, okay, like all the people, all the FBI, whoever told them to go to Twitter and stop all the stories, all those guys, all those 51 secret, what were those agents, Rob? That's not intelligence community. 51, I want all of them to be held accountable because if we don't have everybody accountable now, they're going to do it again. They're Democrats. They're leftists. They're going to do it.
The 2020 election has got this COVID.
No, I'm not, Adam. I'm being truthful.
I don't think you're being dramatic.
How am I being dramatic? Accountability is dramatic.
So every Democrat cheats, is what you're saying?
No, they've been proving that they did cheat. I want the ones that cheated to be held accountable.
When you say prove it, we can investigate it.
Voted for Trump, excited for Trump. I
love it.
Want to see Trump 2025, I'm excited.
Yeah.
But this whole nonsense of, it's proven. Yeah, you're 0 for 60, buddy.
What do you mean?
60 lawsuits they presented in court. So
the same justice system that's been effing them over?
I think revisiting 2020, and Kristen Welker brought it up. That's
she did.
Revisiting this nonsense that he won is not helping unify the country at all. I'm excited for 2025 and the future of America, not going back to the 2020 election. What does that do for anybody?
Adam, accountability.
I actually disagree with one part of your argument.
Go ahead.
The part of argument I disagree with, it sounds a little COVID-like. Where suddenly, let's turn the page. Really? We're not going to turn the page and forget what Fauci did. We're not going to turn the page in these things. We go back and look at it and learn from the past and prosecute where we should to make a safer, more fair situation.
Bullshit. It's not what Fauci did. It's what China did. Now, Fauci should be held accountable.
No.
But let's not lose sight of who actually caused the virus and caused the leak.
I have no idea.
It wasn't Tony Fauci.
What is that technique for? Let me finish. So
I'm not criticizing you. I'm criticizing the fact that it was China. And if we're going to hold somebody accountable, not 85-year-old, sexiest man in the world, Tony Fauci.
For the sake of time, I'm not.
She and Fauci.
For the sake of time, I'm going to compress my preambles, unlike you, and I'm going to get to the point. So what I was talking about is there's a COVID-like feeling about the 2020 election where now we're willing to talk about certain irregularities and we're willing to talk about voting machines and we're willing to talk about mail-in ballots and we're willing to talk about things. And we've gone through investigation and said, you know what? There are some things here. And if we want safe, secure elections, then let's learn from 2020. The suits are the suits, but let's learn how we can keep a tight election going forward to bring the faith of the American people and trust in the electoral process.
Tom.
And there's a certain thing that's happening now that everybody wants to forget every single solitary thing about 2020 when there's things that we can learn going forward, just as things we can learn going forward about COVID. That's my point. I'll leave you guys to discuss the totality of it and go back to your argument, but that's my point.
One simple question for you. I agree with you on accountability, COVID. I fully agree. When you sort of just interweaved, the suits are the suits, 60 lawsuits. They're 0 for 60. At what point are we going to say, all right, they tried to appeal the 2020 election and they lost. So why are we defending the fact that he lost?
I'm not.
How is that helping
Adam,
anybody?
but you're talking about the
I'm
same.
asking him.
No. I'm talking
when
about.
You said the suits are the suits. What do you mean?
When did the suits stop, and what have we learned since about insecure machines? Dominion machines, some of them are insecure. We did have a Secretary of State that broadcast passwords that are the admin codes to get into them. That's a fact. All of those things happen close in, and Laura Trump did a spectacular job deploying attorneys and people ready to be there, standing in the gap for freedom.
In 2024.
In 2024.
Because she knew what they did in 2020.
Because of 2020. So you can say the suits are suits. But that's like going back and to say, hey, I'm sorry, all of you guys under Jim Crow laws, you're 0 for 500 on suits. It's a new day.
Well, check this out. Check this out.
Both can be very true.
FYI, here's the thing. The great thing about this is the following. Here's what I want, okay? I want to find a way where I can trust elections 100%. I don't know if Americans trust elections 100% right now. I don't know if they do, okay? And for you to have to double down on amount of lawyers that you need, shout out to Laura and their organization for being proactive about it. By the way, you make a good point. 0 to 60, there's a part of what Adam is saying, which is kind of like, you won, let's move on. I love the fact that he said, no, I'm not going to concede. Why would he concede? He made his position. He's telling his position. FYI, we're going to see who's going to show up to his inauguration. You know, is Obama going to show up to the inauguration? Probably. Will, Biden show up? Will Kamala show up? Will Clinton show up? Will all those guys? I'm sure Bill is going to show up because Ivanka's going to be there. He wants to. Somebody, we're going to see who's going to show up to this thing when that takes place.
I think it would be
a part of it, to say there was none of it in 2020, for me, there's two words that we have to qualify. Nowadays, especially when we're talking on the podcast, millions of people are following it. We can't wing it and just say stuff. Mm-hmm. There is interference. There is fraud. Those are two different things. Election interference is what? What Twitter did back before it was X. That was interference. What Zuckerberg did, that's interference. What YouTube did, that's interference. What those organizations did, 100%, that's interference. Election fraud is, ballot dumping, all that stuff that you're doing. Those are two different things that you have to do. Mm-hmm. There is zero argument that election interference didn't happen. Zero. Zuckerberg, who gave $400 million, himself wrote a letter knowing the risk he had, calling out the Biden-Harris administration, that he gave $400 million to, and said, at the end of the day, the buck stops with me. I made a mistake. So 100% there was election interference. Even when Elon bought it, we learned about it with Barry Weiss and, Michael Schlemm, Matt Taibbi, all these guys. Yeah. So interference, yes, but qualify and isolate the two. This one still has to be fully investigated. Yeah. And I trust Kash Patel, some of these guys that are going to be in there, they have plenty of time to go and find out what's going to be taking place. And guess who wants to know? A guy like me wants to know. That's it. I just want us to trust that who I vote for is going to be scored away. We have plenty of technology to do it the right way. Let's go ahead and make that progress.
So saying interference, and I get the difference. Interference, to me, I don't know about you, is still cheating, meaning you weren't letting the person that needed to hear the information hear it. That's like you, Adam, we're playing football. It's you against us. And you've tapped into my headset to where I can't communicate with my quarterback. You're interfering. You're cheating in the game. So call it whatever they want. You still cheated and their guy won. Cheating is cheating. They like that. I think the word interference is a cool word that they figured out to get us away from the fact that you helped the other guy win by silencing us, by silencing the truth.
Yeah, but those are two different things, Vinny.
But it's cheating.
Let me know. 100% it is. No, 100% it is. I'm not saying that's not. All I'm saying is I want to trust that if I drop this vote, you can't flip, you can. So to me, it's technology, ballots, IDs, how many states they don't want IDs. That is true fraud.
Yes.
We got to address those things.
Yep.
Why don't we have 50 states asking for IDs? That's ridiculous to me that this is taking place. But on this side, yeah, there's no question about it that took place. Let's go to the next story here. Daniel Penny. Okay, results come out when? Yesterday, I believe, right? Results come out. Daniel Penny acquitted of criminally negligent homicide after more serious manslaughter charge was dismissed with, and this, by the way, I'm reading this story written by CNN. That was CNN's title. Daniel Penny, 26-year-old Marine, was acquitted of criminally negligent homicide and death of Jordan Neely, a 30-year-old man with a history of homelessness and mental illness after Judge Maxwell Wiley dismissed a more serious manslaughter charge following jury deadlocks. Penny restrained Neely in a chokehold on a subway car for several minutes after Neely acted erratically and yelled at passengers. Neely was later declared dead. Penny stated, "I wasn't trying to injure him. I'm just trying to keep him away from hurting anybody else." The trial included over 30 witnesses, bystander video, and expert testimony. The city medical examiner ruled Neely cause of death as compression of neck, chokehold. But the defense argued other factors, including a sickening crisis, schizophrenia, contributed to his death. Rob, the reaction to this from some of the folks, if you don't mind, one of the one was Black Lives Matter, Rob. If you can play that, there was a lady and a man. If you have that clip, please go ahead and play the clip.
This is just the man first.
Okay, go for it.
Racism is still alive and kicking in America. There's no other way to view this. Everyone has looked at the case, and those among you who say that Daniel Penny is innocent have racism and bias in your heart. If you look at the facts of this case, then you understand that Daniel Penny is guilty. But today, white supremacy got another victory. Today, the KKK, the Klansmen, the evil in America got another victory.
No, let it keep playing because he
they
said
got
something
that
very
top charge dismissed. America
dangerous statement.
shall continue to America and shall continue to face second-class status on
there's
black
one other
people.
thing, Rob. Okay.
There's another clip.
Yeah, there's another clip, Rob.
I have another one. This is where
This
he
is the
calls
one,
for
PBD.
protesting.
Yeah, that's the
That's
one.
it.
This is the one.
Just like everybody else has vigilantes, we need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
And that's not a crime to say
People
that?
That's
wanna
encouraging
jump up
violence.
and choke
That's not a
us
crime to say that?
and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
As he's wearing a cross on his
tired.
chest. He's a Christian.
I know you're looking for us to be like, oh, go and march. Go and march. No. This weekend, I want you to hold a community event everywhere from the Bronx to Houston to Seattle to Florida. Black people hold community events and talk about what you need.
Okay. All right. Pause it, Rob. Yeah, play the other clip of the lady, if you have the lady clip.
I'm still looking for the lady. I
I'll
do have
find it
Daniel
for you.
Penny if you'd like to see
This is him after the victory at the bar with his lawyer.
like Troy.
Okay, go ahead and play this clip.
Yeah. He's feeling good. He's feeling good. He's feeling good.
What's up? Come together. How's it going? How's it feel?
Feels great. He's finally got the justice he's deserved.
Did you think it was going to happen?
Sorry? No, we think that this should have happened probably on day one, but the point thing is it happened. So we can't control the timing of it, but we can certainly savor the outcome.
And why do you think it was not guilty?
That's
Instead
That's that guy.
Well, he's not guilty on a few different reasons. Because his actions were justified. He was trying to help people on that train.
You can pause it right there, Rob. Okay, Benny.
Okay, so I've been following this.
Sorry, can we see the actual video of what he did? Is that possible to show?
I mean, it's out there. Rob could.
I don't think it's smart for us to show.
Yeah, but so I've been following this because
just so I'm understanding, what's the context? This is the thing on the subway.
On May 1st,
I don't know the story.
I'll tell you right
as
now.
well as-
Okay, on May 1st, because it was my birthday, 2023. This guy, United States Marine veteran, is taking the subway to go to school to take a class.
This is the Penny guy.
The Penny guy. So who was the individual's name that he?
Jordan Neely.
Jordan Neely. He's on the train, Adam, flipping out, saying this: "I'm going to kill you. I'm prepared to go to jail for life." To everybody, there's kids, women, all races. This is freaking New York.
He's a black guy.
He's a black guy.
I'm
willing
willing
to die. He's schizophrenic and he's on drugs. They found drugs.
Schizophrenic and on drugs.
Okay, he's going crazy. He starts tripping out, and now notice how there's no footage at him. The headlock is on camera. There's no footage of the pre-anything. You know why? People were feared for their lives and trying to run away and get away from this guy. They only started recording once he was subdued. And you know what the real problem is, I think, guys? It's not about race. Besides BLM, that rhetoric isn't working. They're already rioting and people are getting punched and stuff in the streets of New York. It's not about that. Can we talk about where this happened? Tom, where did this happen?
On the subway in New York.
New York City, okay? This is the problem, okay? It's New York's crime. It's the justice system failing. This dude was, Jordan Neely was arrested, are you ready for this? 44 times. Does that even make sense to you? 44 times for crimes including kidnapping of a 7-year-old in 2015.
This is the video?
Punching, that's it. That's it. Punching a 64-year-old man.
Wait a minute, you guys just missed that.
Sorry.
Kidnapping of a 7-year-old.
In 2015.
Keep going.
Punching a 64-year-old man in 2019. Breaking a 67-year-old woman's nose in 2021 when he punched her and she fell on the subway, okay?
So he's an absolute sweetheart
He's
of a guy.
a sweetheart. And this is it. He was Jordan Neely.
He's a released and re-released sweetheart.
44 times. And what again, Pam, so Daniel Penny said, because they kept talking about race, he goes, "I didn't see a black man threatening passengers. I saw a man threatening passengers." And you know who he was threatening? Right. Women of color, men of color. And nobody wants to talk about. Do you see that photo? You see that guy with the hat? He was grabbing this. He wouldn't stop fighting. This guy was a man of color, as they want to keep saying it. Wasn't arrested. Nothing happened to him.
And see him at the guy with the black hat is helping Penny restrain the guy and hold the guy. He's not like, "Hey, let go of that black guy." That's not what's going on.
Yeah.
It is a out of control man threatening the safety and welfare of the people in there, ends up in a scuffle, ends up on the floor, ends up in a chokehold.
Yeah. And mind you, didn't want to do it. He's restraining him. Tragic loss. The guy's dead. But this goes back to the same thing with George Floyd. All right? George Floyd, high on drugs, lethal amounts of fentanyl, trying to pass a $20 counterfeit bill. The cop showed up, and then, a little bit excessive, whatever you want to call it. But if you're not a scumbag, if you're not a degenerate, if you're not a criminal, and the system you keep falling through the cracks, George Floyd would have never met Derek Chauvin if he wasn't a degenerate scumbag criminal.
And George Floyd also had a lot of appointments with law enforcement.
Oh yeah,
and
9 times
released.
9 times arrested. And let's not forget what George Floyd did. One of his crimes was home invasion, where he took a gun and held it to a pregnant woman's stomach while his friends robbed the house. And everybody thinks these people are freaking saints. It's the system, it's criminals, and for BLM to come up there and incite, he's asking for violence. And I agree with you. That he should be investigated, because that guy's been arrested for talking crap to a cop and assaulting a cop. That guy, Hawk, what's his name, Rob? The BLM guy?
I am not sure.
I forgot, but I'm ready for this. I think his name is Hawk
Newsome.
Hawk Newsome. And you know what people don't want to talk about? On June 13th, 2023, Jordan Williams, a 20-year-old from Queens, fatally stabbed the 36-year-old DeVictor Odrago on Brooklyn train. Witnesses reported that the Odrago was homeless, had been harassing passengers, and assaulted Williams' girlfriend. In response, Williams stabbed him and he killed him. And guess what happened? All charges dismissed. Everything was self-defense. Nothing in the paper because he's a black man. All of a sudden, it's a white guy that's protecting black people, and it's racism, and BLM's doing their bullshit again. I think he's a freaking hero, and he should be commended for what the hell he did for saving people's lives on the train. Daniel Penny.
Yeah.
So did he fully agree with majority of what you said? So he sort of was a hero.
Yes.
Held down this guy. How long was he choking him for?
A minute or 2 minutes where another guy was trying to subdue him. He wouldn't stop fighting. Okay. And once he let go of him, his heart was still beating.
Until the subway cops arrived.
But then when you have drugs in your... I don't know how his heart reacts to drugs and stuff like that.
These citizens didn't have handcuffs or restraints.
Yeah, of course.
Right? They're waiting for the subway to stop, and they're waiting for...
And for all the people out there that are talking shit, if we were on a train and your kids and your family's there, and somebody's going, "I'm going to kill you, I'm ready to die, and I'm willing to..." Guess what? you're a threat, and we have to stop you. Period. Then shut up.
6 minutes. Penny placed Mr. Neely in a chokehold for 6 minutes.
Yep, and he was fighting the whole
died
time.
of asphyxiation.
Yeah.
He reacted recklessly.
But here's the question, though.
Yeah.
Here's the question. So, how many people, Rob, use the New York subway every day? What's the number? Can you type in how many people use New York subway every day?
Hundreds of thousands.
I want to know the number every day. What is the number?
Wow.
3.6 million
Each day?
people each day.
Man.
So here's the question. In 2019, it was 5.5 million. That's what it was. Went to 3.2 million to 3.6 million today. Okay? And so we're still not pre-pandemic levels. Don't you think a percentage of people that don't use the subway anymore is because of what happened in crime during COVID? They're like, dude, like imagine what a father or mother tells their kid. Hey, Adam, don't use the subway. Imagine what a husband tells his girl, his wife, or their kids. Hey, babe, don't use the subway. Honey, don't use the subway. Honey, take a cab. Don't use the subway. Honey, don't use the subway. Now, what if you can't afford not to use the subway? You have to use the subway. What happens when you go into, so like imagine right now, today, using the subway today, after what he said, that guy, Hawkeye, imagine using the subway today. The tensions, you're sitting there. You're with a kid. You're sitting with your 9-month-old baby. How are you feeling? What are you looking for? What makes you feel safe? Who makes you feel safe? Does a guy like Daniel Penny make you feel safer when you're in a place like that? Yes, because he's going to do what others maybe don't want to do. How many other men were there that they could have done something to prevent this guy from going around saying, I'm going to kill somebody? How many of them reacted? Not many. Why? What does it take? It takes courage, and there's risk. So is that guy a hero or a villain? I mean, look, there's a part of things that's going on with me that I'm not comfortable about. We can go into this next story, Tom, unless if you got any thoughts on this before we go.
You just said that's why Daniel Penny was on the subway. He is a Marine Corps veteran using the VA bill to go to school. He did not have the amount of money you need to take Ubers or have a driver every day. So he is using the public subway to go back and forth to school.
And last point, do you remember in March 2024, Kathy Hochul, whatever the hell her name is, the governor, she deployed 1,000 troops to the subway system. National Guard, 700 National Guard and 250 police officers. Is it Iraq? That's how bad the subway is. It's a joke in New York when people are like, oh shit, you're going to go on the subway. It's a joke. And this all goes to New York, bro. The mayor under investigation, illegals in the city. You can't ride the subway. It's like, when are we going to stop playing this game? It's Gotham City. It's disgusting. And
we got to move on because Eric Adam also talked about revenue shortfall from the
I was about to go there, but I was about to go there in a complete different way. What did Adam say the other day? I love what he said. He said something like, I don't care what you're going to do if,
cancel me.
I don't care if you're going to, is that what he said?
He said, go ahead and
I don't care if you're going to cancel me, because of what? His relationship with Trump or something. I'm going to do whatever I can to clean the streets of New York. But he made a comment about, I don't care if you cancel me. It's getting to a point that even an Eric Adams is sitting there saying, guys, we got to find a way to clean up the streets. Even a guy like that is getting sick of it. But I want to get to the next story here that also has to do with New York. So, CEO of UnitedHealthcare, okay, Brian Thompson, gets shot down a few days ago. 6 shots. Everyone's trying to find out who this guy is, okay? Finally, they find a guy. And the profile of this person they found is very interesting. It's not what you would have thought. This isn't a guy that, has issues of kidnapping a 7-year-old and all this other stuff. The profile is very, very different. Luigi Mangione, named as suspect in Brian Thompson shooting, okay? So now, who is he? Luigi Mangione, 26, was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania on firearm charges and is primary suspect in the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson on December 4th. Found out at McDonald's, Mangione was carrying a ghost gun that may have been 3D printed, a silencer, and a fake New Jersey ID matching one used by the shooter. Police also discovered clothing matching the gunman's attire and a manifesto expressing anger at, ready, the healthcare industry and corporate profits. Brian Thompson, 50, was shot at close range outside the Midtown Manhattan Hilton Hotel while attending UnitedHealthcare's investor meeting to discuss record profits. The shell casings at the scene said the phrase, Deny, defend, dispose. Rob, do you have a clip to share on this one? If you want to play this clip, go for it.
Aaron, one of the most interesting parts of that particular hearing was actually his statements after the conversation about bail. The prosecutors basically stepped up there and made the case why they believe that this man should be held without bail. They mentioned that he is awaiting potentially an arrest warrant coming from New York City as one of the major reasons. But they also said that prosecutors noted that they found him with $8,000 in U.S. cash, $2,000 in foreign currency, his passport, and also a Faraday bag, which is basically a bag designed to stop transmission of cell service or other sort of things like that. At the end of his speech, the prosecutor's speech, Luigi Mangione said, I actually want to address two of the things that you said. He said, I don't know where that money came from. I'm not sure if it was planted. And then he also said that that bag was waterproof. And the term that the prosecutors used when discussing the Faraday bag, the ghost guns, the 3D printed silencer, was the prosecutors used a phrase saying this is criminal sophistication. Luigi Mangione said, I don't know about any of this criminal sophistication when addressing that. But it's just interesting, Aaron, that of all of the things that were mentioned in that court appearance, the two that he noted or took issue with was the currency and then that bag. Aaron?
Tom.
So there's a couple things here on this kid. I shouldn't say kid. He's 26 years old. Wall Street Journal had a story that really caught my eye, so I dove into it. I've been reading like everybody else is. I'm looking for facts. I'm not looking for wild conclusions. And said he was a Ivy Leaguer with anti-capitalist leanings. And in the article and in other places, there's consensus that he valedictorian of his high school and did a very touching address in which he thanked his parents, he thanked other people. Showed a very balanced guy at that time, graduating high school, who also called out and credited a kid that was at the high school that had not spoken Spanish when he got to the high school, and here he was graduating this private high school in Baltimore, had done very well. And so he goes on to Penn, the Ivy League school. And somehow he comes out of that and then goes to Hawaii and San Francisco, two liberal hotbeds, hangs out in these areas, a co-living facility that you can look it up in San Francisco, incredibly liberal, and goes there. So what happened to this kid? This kid comes from a Italian-American accomplished family. His grandparents have made money and been very successful, and he appears to be this balanced kid giving a valedictorian speech, and all of a sudden, he comes out of Penn. And I'm not ready to blame the whole thing on Penn, but I will say this. When you charge $80,000 a year for tuition to influence kids and educate them, you can't stand on the other side of the line and say, oh, well, we didn't influence them. What's going on at Penn and things, he said he came out with these anti-capitalist leanings and he's starting to read other things. And so I look at it and I think this is a horrible, horrible tragedy. Who knows what flipped his switch to be able, as a balanced kid, to walk the street that day, lie in wait for Thompson and pump several shots into him. Not one, not impulsive, but to stand over him and keep firing. Who knows what flipped that switch? But I am deeply concerned because I see a before and after, and I don't think you can run from the influence that college had on him and where he chose to go after college to hang out in San Francisco and then in Hawaii. Hawaii, maybe he's out there for the sun and all that, but he went to San Francisco in this area. It just bothers me. But if you don't think your kids can be influenced, you're not paying attention.
You're making a very good point. By the way, this is the speech you were talking about, Rob, if you want to play a clip of it.
High school?
Yeah.
How about this winter when Kevin Wang delivered his senior speech? As Kevin moved to America and joined our class in 9th grade, English isn't his first language.
This is him, by the way.
Yes. But that didn't stop him from delivering a both hilarious and thought-provoking speech about his transition to the United States. How about Ray Saunders leading Gilman's first-year cybersecurity team? Even competing against hundreds of veteran teams, the Gilman squad managed to advance to the state and then regional championships. All of these endeavors took a huge amount of courage. They demonstrate that the class of 2016 truly has the fearlessness to explore new things and the obvious ability to excel. But as inventive as the class of 2016 is, our class was able to explore the new while also preserving the old.
You can pause it right there. I mean, obviously, he seems... Rob, can you pull up who his parents are? Who are his parents? Who are his parents? Because if you type in his parents, I'm curious to know if we have anything about his mom and dad, what they do, and what they did. At 26 years old, I mean, at this point of the game, the people that are investigating this, you should learn all this stuff. As far as Usman sprawling family found success after patriarch rise go a little lower.
His grandparents were very successful, apparently.
Can we see it? Nick Mangione was reported when questioned, he had purchased a high-profile local country club in the 1970s. That's the grandparents. They asked me what family I belonged to. I told them I belonged to the Mangione family. Mangione family of Baltimore County, the patriarch of a sprawling Italian-American family who died in 2008, was a self-made multimillionaire real estate developer who owned country clubs, nursing homes, and radio stations while supporting an array of civics causes. His descendants, he and his wife, Mary, had 10 children, went on to be successful in their own right, including excelling in athletics at Loyola University and taking over the family businesses, while grandchild is a state delegate. One of his 37 grandchildren is now a person of interest, one of the 37. So good family. They've done right. They've raised them well. 26-year-old father led Mangione Family Enterprise, was himself off to prominent start, valedictorian, 2016, Gilman School graduate, University of Pennsylvania. Is that Penn? Like the Penn?
That's Penn.
Penn. Okay. So
number 2 Ivy League rank right now.
And by the way, I wouldn't really put Penn as the furthest left Ivy League school.
No,
so
Brown is the furthest
left. That's
left,
right.
but it's small Rhode Island
Sure,
school.
for sure. So now Louis Mangione was taken into custody. So I don't know if I can put this all on Penn here, Tom. For questioning Monday morning after recognized Atlanta President, late Monday, Manhattan prosecutors filed in a statement post late Monday on social media. The family said it could not comment on the report. We only know what we have read in the media. Even the family is saying this. We only know what we read in the media. Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We offer our prayers to the family of Brian Thompson, and we ask people to pray, all involved, the family wrote. We're all devastated by the news. Thompson's killer allegedly wrote those words. And by the way, when they asked kids who knew him from school, they said, this was the boy, I set him up with a bunch of my girlfriends because he was the guy you wanted to date your friends because he was such a good guy that he was that guy. So what flipped, by the way, I'm telling you, a movie I went in and I walked out and I told Mars, we went with 25 of us. And at 41, 42-minute mark, I'm like, I'm out of here. The movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix.
The first one.
Well, not the bullshit one they did with whatever.
The musical.
Musical with, what's her name? Not this one, Rob, the first one.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
Was Heath Ledger?
No. This is Joaquin Phoenix.
You're thinking Batman. This is just Joker. Yeah, this is Joker.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, which to me is just one of the most underrated. He could be on one of the top 10 lists. He's that good of an actor. And you know what the story's about? I mean, what is the story? Who
Chaos,
does he kill?
Anarchy.
Who does he kill in the movie? Who gets killed?
Capitalist.
The capitalist. Why? I mean, they painted the father and the family and everything in such a way. These things matter. These things matter. You're pinning people and you're inspiring people. Now, I think once they get to the bottom of it, if the family responded that way, guess what we know? It's definitely not that one of their family members didn't get the proper care they needed from health insurance or hospital. Fair? Because if the family says that, we're so disappointed and shocked, so then could it be a girlfriend? Could it be a friend? Could it be somebody that's a coworker? Could it be an influence? Could it be somebody? It's very interesting. And by the way, who knows what some of these things could be with this guy. But
if I could follow up. So Pat said something important. I want to make sure I clarify it. He said, you can't put this whole thing on Penn. I'm not. Here's what I am saying. In 4 years from that speech to when he graduated, he changed slightly. And then 3 years later, he's capable of an amazing premeditated capital murder. There's something going on.
When did he graduate from Penn?
When he was 18 and a half years old, according to his birthday. So he graduated from,
Penn.
excuse me.
Penn, not high school.
22 and a half, going on 23.
Okay, so
and
that was 3 years ago.
It is.
What I want to know is what happened the last 90 days.
And that was my point about what flipped, what switch flipped. But the anti-capitalist leanings that were in some of the things he wrote in comments and in book reviews that the Wall Street Journal was talking about, where does that come from? That's not coming from his grandparents who are real estate capitalists or his parents who are running the enterprise of the company, certainly. Wow. Something is happening, PBD. I'm not blaming Penn alone. I'm saying, are there fingerprints of Penn in the change of his heart?
Yeah.
I think, yes, there are.
I have a sort of a slightly different angle here because I think it highlights the inefficiencies and how messed up our healthcare system is and what they describe as sick care. So, you know, they say that life imitates art or art imitates life. You brought up the Joker. I'll bring up another movie that you've referenced multiple times, and that's the movie John Q. Remember that story, PBD?
Mm-hmm.
So the story was Denzel Washington, his son, playing baseball in a baseball game, drops basically dead and collapses in a baseball game due to an enlarged heart. So when he goes to basically see if the insurance company and the coverage will cover the heart transplant, they do not. And he doesn't have the money and he's denied. And he basically, it sort of highlights, and this is sort of the point here with this guy, the drastic measures that family members, parents in particular, will take to care for their kids or their loved ones. So what Denzel Washington does is, if you recall, holds the emergency room hostage and says, I need to get my kid a heart transplant. I mean, think about what you have to be going through. Your kid is almost dead and you hold the hospital hostage in order to save your son's life. It was such an emotional situation. He was willing to kill himself and sacrifice himself to give his son the heart. But in the end, what happened was the judge, after he was, caught, everything, had leniency on him. He didn't charge him for attempted murder.
What's the point with this?
So the point is this. The healthcare system is the reason that this is happening. The healthcare system is the reason.
Dude, you can't put that like that, bro. You can't say something like that.
No, I can, and I'll tell you why.
For your statement to say
he says
the healthcare system is the reason why this is happening.
I'm not saying.
It could be one of the reasons. You can't say the reason.
I'm sure it's multiple reasons, but you don't write on the bullet or the gun, deny, defend, depose. Last week we talked about how UnitedHealthcare had the highest amount of declinations of
37%
of coverage, and it wasn't even close. So why did he target this specific individual? I'm not saying that this was the only reason.
Let me tell you.
But there's definitely some room for conversing here about what's going on in our healthcare system.
I'm not one. That's
remember, he's allegedly the
Tom,
killer.
Tom, I'm speaking. We're interrupting a lot today. Like, let us. You did it to Vinny. You did it to Adam. Now you're doing it to me. Let us make the point. We'll come to you. There's plenty of time. So the part I want to say to you with this one here is this: is when you think about issues like this with healthcare, one of the hardest things for us to do is the fact that one cop kills somebody, every cop's a bad cop. And all we want to talk about is only the bad cop stories. How many good cop stories does the news share? Nobody. I had an old friend of mine, his name is Jeff. We used to be very close back in the days. He wanted to start a news network called GNN. You know what his idea was? Good News Network, okay? But you know what it was? Nobody would watch it.
Exactly.
Because we're only obsessed with what?
Bad news.
Bad news.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Now, here's the problem. There's plenty of, my dad's 82 years old. Who gets credit for that? The alcohol he drank? The packs of cigarettes he smoked? Who gets credit for that? All the wonderful doctors that made this man live to 82 years old, that my 3-year-old Brooklyn meets my dad. So we have to be very careful when we make blanket statements. There's a part of it that you're right. 32% denial rates? Okay. Yes. The market will react and say, yes, you're going to celebrating profits. Dude, what the hell is wrong with you guys denying 32%? While the industry average is 16%. What is the matter with you to do 32% denial? That has to be investigated. Trump is sitting down with the same lady. I keep forgetting her name.
Kristen Welker.
It's not out of respect. She I think she did a good job. You said Crystal or Kristen?
Kristen Welker.
Kristen Welker does the interview. Yeah. And you know what he says? Here's what he says. She asks him a question and says, hey, out of curiosity, what's going to happen with healthcare? Are you going to autism and all this stuff? And Trump says, we have to look at it. He says, you know what I did the other day? He says, the other day at Mar-a-Lago, matter of fact, I called everybody. I called Bobby Kennedy, and I called all the CEOs of the big pharmaceutical companies. I said, we got to figure this thing out. He says, you know what I learned? He says it's not even the pharmaceutical companies that are making all this money. There's a lot of middlemen that are also making a lot of money. Whatever it is, first of all, the pharmaceutical companies make a lot of money. I think that part has to be set aside.
Well, so what happened with Pfizer?
Yeah, we have to figure this thing out. COVID vaccines made Pfizer a lot of money. No shareholder of Pfizer is sitting there saying their wealth, especially the people that own a lot of money, their wealth wasn't positively impacted by COVID, that were forcing what percentage of Americans took the vaccine? 67%? Can you pull up what percentage of Americans took the vaccine, Rob? What percentage of Americans took the vaccine? Was it cheap? Was it free? Was it for nothing? 70%. Okay, now it's 81% of the population took at least, took at least one dose. Overall, 230% was fully vaccinated. It was 67%. Now it's 70%. You know what that is? That's 230 million customers. You tell me what business isn't going to do good with 230 million customers. That part of it, for sure, we have to investigate. Coming back to this kid, Tom, if it's not family, if it's not like I wouldn't have looked at who he followed, because you guys told me before, Pat, I think he followed you on Twitter. He did follow me on Twitter. If you want to pull up who this guy followed on Twitter, Rob, very interesting, okay? I think his account you said was Pep Mangione. So it's not that one. Is it that one? Yeah. Okay, go to followers and zoom in so we can see who he follows. From the top, Rob, from the top. So Ezra Klein, columnist from New York. Okay, got it. Leopold, don't know.
Zuby, our guy.
Erowid Center, Zuby, keep going. Beth, Naval, okay, Naval, very interesting guy. Nassim Taleb, which is the book he wrote, which Skin in the Game. So why would he follow Nassim Taleb? Somebody who follows Nassim Taleb wouldn't do something like this, because Nassim Taleb said everyone's got skin in a game, right? Then you go Sam Altman parody. Then he follows the real Sam Altman. Then Levi Liso, Edward Snowden, he follows. Okay, AOC, he follows. Keep going. So who else we got? Jonathan Haidt, who wrote the book. He wrote the book Anxious Generation Time, which we highly recommend everybody read. Maybe he was going through something with anxiety that we don't know about. Why is he following that guy? He's following me. He's following Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy, vaccine. And he only followed 70-something people. Brett Weinstein. Yeah. Brett Weinstein is a good voice for society, right? Keep going. So you're Jonathan, keep going. John McAfee. Now, interesting, that one right there, right? John McAfee. Keep going lower, keep going lower, keep going lower. Steve O, Rogan. Joe Rogan. Okay, Dragon Believer. Alexander, William Costello. You got Ali Abdal. Matthew Johnson, psychedelic scientist. Keep going. James Clear, one of the best books of all time. Guy sold millions of copies, called the Atomic, I think it's called Atomic Habits. Chris Williamson, net positive to society. Andrew Huberman, net positive to society.
The coach.
Phil Jackson, the coach. Trevor Noah, the comedian. Keep going. Matt Walker, Michael Pollan. I'm sorry, is that the comedian or no?
No, it is just
keep going.
Funny.
Is that it?
That's it.
So, I mean, Tom, who could influence him from 23 to 26 to make something like this happen that's not related to family?
23 to 26, your influences, are going to be beyond family. And FBI profilers and people can talk about the cases that were in the UK, the radicalization of young men in their early 20s by the clerics that were in London. You have an external mentor. So you as an adult are like, okay, I'm spreading my wings a little bit. You have family as foundation, but now family is not influencing you as much anymore. Unless you're working in your dad's business, you remain super close. Now you're out there in society, and who are your associations? We tell people all the time, watch your associations. The 5 people that are closest to you have the greatest, in terms of parallels in life, or there's going to be 4 or 5, they say, that have great influence on you. So between 23 and 26, you're going to have a guy who is external influences now are going to be influencing you more than family, along with the maturation of the mind through college into that adult state. So I don't know that list there tells us a lot, because I don't see radicals on that list. I don't see, I see a couple. I saw Richard Dawkins on that list. I don't see like hard radicals on that list. So the question is, beyond who he's following on social media, and by the way, how intense was he on social media? You got to understand people's intensity. Was he there 4 hours a day, 40 minutes a day, reading
Rob, did
everything?
he tweet anything, Rob, or no?
There's a difference there. So I want to know who were the core influences taking up the majority of idle hours that were on his mind and in his ear. That's what I want to know. And that's what FBI profilers will tell you they want to know.
And he didn't say, and by the way, he didn't say one word to anybody. But you know, the only thing that strikes me odd is that after 3 hours, Twitter discovered who this guy was. We knew his entire life, backstory, family ties, education, everything. Donald Trump's assassin, whatever, Thomas Crooks, had 6 cell phones, and we still don't know anything about that guy 5 months later. So it's just kind of weird, Tom. Who did influence this guy? Who talked in this guy's ear that made him go and shoot? Because this doesn't make any sense to me. This guy looks like a good kid, good family, and then all of a sudden this lone guy goes out there and starts shooting. It's kind of suspect.
May I give a little bit of a explanation or maybe even pushback to what you said? PBD, I do agree blanket statements don't help anything. So I'm not here to figure out what this guy did. Of course, he wrote the key word to any shooter, a manifesto. We understand that thing. But here's what I will say about the healthcare system and why I'm doubling down on it. So the whole deny, defend, depose thing, there's a reason that he picked the UnitedHealthcare CEO who has double the industry average of decline rates by insurance companies. So do you know what the number one reason for bankruptcy is in America?
Health.
It's not job loss. It's not divorce. Yeah. It's not the economy. It's not credit card debt. It is medical expenses. So if you get sick and you don't have coverage and you get this massive bill, what do you say, 64%?
64% of bankruptcies are due to medical bills.
Bingo. Yeah. So there's something
number could have
there.
changed, but that was 2 years
There's
ago.
something there. So I don't know what happened with this guy, but something tells me it had to do with declining coverage.
For me, I think school, for sure, influence, right? I think this, for sure, influence. I think all of that is influence, but I don't know if any of that is one. I want to know what happened the last 90 days to this guy. I'm going through all his tweets. His tweets would be somebody who's a libertarian. That's what he sounds like. This guy sounds like a libertarian, that's tweeting stuff out that he is, interested in health and different types of things, but nothing do I see a pattern of this guy's about to go do something.
Well, you've said something very important. I think you should explain. Your history loads the gun. What's that whole story?
Yeah.
Explain that, please.
Yeah. Where I interviewed this guy who is historically, he was the first person that, in Jim Clement, he was the first person that would interview someone that killed their spouse. Or somebody like that. And he said, this guy right here, very interesting story. Now, he was a New York State prosecutor, former FBI profiler.
He said there were 3 parts to it,
He says
right?
genetics loads the gun, personality and psychology aims the gun, but experiences pulls the trigger. I want to know what happened last 90 days.
Yeah.
Something happened last 90 days. There's no way in the world. Anybody who's normal can have some thoughts in their minds. Okay, you know how you ever seen that movie, Horrible Bosses? You know Horrible Bosses, where there's a moment where what's that actor?
Charlie Day.
Who is working for Kevin Spacey. And in his mind, he says, I've decided who I'm giving a promotion to.
Yeah.
I'm giving a promotion to myself, and I'm breaking this wall, right? And there's a scene where, what is that guy's name? The guy
Charlie Day. It's
Rob, go up a little bit, Rob.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman
Sudeikis
grabs Kevin Spacey and throws him out the window. And you're thinking that's the move. That's what happened. No, it's in his mind.
It was a dream. Yeah.
We all have those types of thoughts on our minds sometimes.
PBD, I want to assure you, I never have those thoughts, sir.
You're funny. But the point is, while this is happening, look at the complete opposite side of reaction of some people. Go ahead, Rob.
I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Joy in a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again...
We're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's been gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Thousands of Americans that he murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people. And the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health care.
So should they all be killed then? Exactly. Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
But why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
I think because it wouldn't fix the system.
You seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
I find your question funny.
A bloke's been murdered in the street. I don't find it funny at all.
I don't find it funny that tens of thousands of Americans die every year and because they are denied life-saving health care from people like the CEO.
She looks crazy.
Now, I want to fix the system. You're right. We shouldn't be going around shooting each other with vigilante justice. No. I think that it is a good thing that this murder has led to America, or really media elites
oh my God, like get off of the subject.
Paying attention to this issue for the first time. You mentioned you couldn't understand why somebody would feel this reaction when they watched a CEO die. It's because you have not dealt, it sounds like, with the American healthcare system in the way that millions of other Americans have.
I've dealt with the healthcare system in various ways in America. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but the idea that I would view it as something...
Have you been denied life-saving treatment?
The idea that I would view it as something joyful, that a man has been, who's just a healthcare executive, has been executed in the street, I find completely bizarre.
Who's this person, Rob? Who is that person?
Taylor Lorenz. And do you know what happened on Jon Stewart's show?
What?
Rob, you might be able to find this. Jon Stewart mentions this guy, the killer getting arrested, and the audience started booing. Like, his entire audience was pissed off that this guy's caught and he's arrested. That's the left. That is this ideology. She has joy for a guy getting murdered in the streets of New York. Like, these people, they can't help themselves, Pat. And you know what?
Are you joking? They're celebrating that.
Listen to the audience.
Can you play
Listen to the
Rob?
audience.
Actually, obviously couldn't have been that guy. Today, they did appear to catch that guy today at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. It's true.
Booze.
Look, I'm sorry, guys.
What are you booing? No.
There's some claps.
Yeah,
There's
three
some
people
claps.
clapped and a lot of people booed.
Zoom in to see he apologized. Jon Stewart apologized to his audience once they started booing after he says Luigi Mangione was captured. It's a murderer. Do not apologize.
Listen,
what's going on?
You know what my thing is about? When people reveal who they are, believe them. That's the type of hate that's disgusting. I still can't believe she kept talking. Like, stop, jump ship.
Have you done something with her or no? Like,
I've never done. I might. I think I was supposed to be on that, but I wasn't in town.
She meant what she said the first time.
Yes, she did.
She meant what she said.
She means it. So
and she
believe her.
backpedaled off it.
Believe
she
her.
meant what she said.
Exactly.
The joy.
Yeah.
The joy. She
felt joy that a capitalist over an industry that she has strong negative feelings about died. She feels good about it. She felt joy. She meant what she said. She backpedaled
Exactly.
it. The eyes don't lie. Look at her eyes.
She got crazy
Look at
eyes.
her. No, not that. But look at during that interview. The eyes don't lie.
Rob, go back to that person, the Wikipedia you had. Just get off her picture. Yeah, because I'm trying to read. There you go. So she's a podcaster for Vox.
She got fired this morning.
You're joking?
No, Vox parted ways with her. It was announced overnight.
Are you joking?
Nope.
Okay, good for Vox.
WAPO,
hosting a show. So she got fired because of what she said on Piers.
Correct.
Wow.
Good.
Power user and founder of Substack publication User Max. She was previously a columnist at WAPO, a technology report at New York Times, Daily Beast, Business Insider, social media editor for Daily Mail. She is particularly known for internet culture. Well, that was nothing about internet culture. Good for you, buddy.
Where's her
Good
family
for you.
from?
What school she go to? Colorado, Boulder.
If I may,
Go for it,
all the way
yeah.
back. Go all the way back her education. Old Greenwich, Connecticut, very, very liberal. Greenwich High School, liberal. University of Colorado at Boulder. My God,
liberal.
That is incredible. It's a very liberal school up there. Transferred to Hobart and William Smith Colleges. Graduate degree in political science, also known as silencing conservatives. And she stated that the social media site Tumblr caused her to become internet culture. This is a born and bred hard liberal who is an anti-capitalist, and now she may have good points on a debate level about the state of healthcare in America. Even Piers Morgan was saying, hey, I've got experience with it. It's not perfect by any means, but vigilante, gunning people down in the street and being happy about it. She has a very dark heart, and she meant what she said.
I wouldn't be surprised if she gets a job at CNN or MSNBC.
She's probably on the panel right now.
Get a job right now. Oh my God, look her up.
We love her.
She's a future star.
You have hate in your heart.
By the way,
welcome to CNN.
So you know all of this. What it takes me to before we go into the Assad story is Neil deGrasse Tyson is on Piers Morgan, and they're having this conversation together, right? And then he's trying to explain himself with the transgender, where he's trying to say, what if we have competition that is based on levels of testosterone level? Folks, whether you're a doctor or not watching this, whether you're a scientist or not watching this, whether you went to Ivy League school, maybe you went to, regular university, college, a poison ivy school, whatever thing that you went to school, right? I want you to watch this and tell me if you have common sense, if anything, this man who is celebrated as being an incredible scientist makes any sense. Go ahead, Rob.
What I see is sports is on the frontier of how to handle this frontier of people who are trans. It's on the frontier of how to resolve that. And I'm making this up now. Yeah. Imagine the future of sports does not distinguish sex. It distinguishes and sorts people by hormone ratios. I'm making this up, but imagine that.
Yeah, you are.
If that were the case. That would be interesting. You get a hormone test, you're in this range, and then you compete against other people with the same range of hormones.
That's ridiculous.
That's
Neil, that is ridiculous.
No, it's not. I'll tell you why it's not ridiculous.
You're going to give every single person
an earpiece could even believe it.
Hold on. I used to wrestle. And wrestling, there are people who weigh, sorry, am I using pounds here, 125 pounds, right on up to 240 pounds. They don't wrestle each other. The entire sport separates people so that the contest is interesting.
Yeah.
And so the people of the same weight wrestle each other, and that is the contest.
But if Floyd Mayweather...
I don't know if that's how it will land.
Hang on, Neil. If Floyd Mayweather fought a woman boxer, a female woman boxer, who was the same weight division, he would annihilate her. That's why we don't let it happen. And in fact, in the Paris Olympics, the winner of one of the women's boxing competitions, one of the
Piers,
females who took her on.
About.
But my point is that I just think that, if you don't mind me saying, I say this respectfully because I love you, but it just seems to me like you've dug yourself into a slight hole on this issue, and you're trying to get out of it. You're suggesting slightly mad theories, whereas the science to me is obvious. You've already given the best argument I've heard for why we separate the sexes.
Hold on. You misquoted me in this very interview. What I said was the idea of creating categories within a sport, splitting them in the example I gave, which I just made it up, like hormone ratios, is not fundamentally weird compared to dividing wrestlers by weight.
No,
because
it is.
The only reason why you do this is to make an interesting contest.
No, Neil, you're wrong.
And so you said Floyd Mayweather fight. Hold on.
You're
wrong.
Said
Floyd Mayweather.
You're not
allowing
for the superior male biology when it comes to lung capacity, stamina, to body mass, to muscle mass, all those things. If you just take one criteria of hormones, you're not allowing all that. I'll give an example.
We can pause it right there. I mean, at this point of the game, it's getting crazier and crazier the more you watch it. Tom, thoughts on what Neil's saying here?
Neil is in. Piers captured it best. Neil's in a hole. He dug himself into a hole, and now he's trying to intellectualize and draw himself out of it by presenting these, well, maybe one solution is we do it by hormones. Neil, we do it by hormones today. It's called male-female. And by the way, that's how we catch males that are using, steroids. The hormone ratios are up. It's like when Manny Ramirez, spring training, they played 14 games and he was caught. I think it was 2009. I think it was 2009, where all of a sudden he lights up. And he lights up because there is a female hormone in there, which is a pregnancy recovery hormone that he took.
Yeah,
and it was
estrogen.
And it was to bring down the excess testosterone, except he didn't get the 17 days that were necessary, because at the end of the 17 days, he would have, what they said, pissed clear. Get it?
Yeah, of course.
And so at that moment, Manny Ramirez could have played in women's professional baseball.
Could have wore a bra if he wanted.
And
if he wanted to wear a bra.
Well, that's cross-dressing. But my point
Whatever.
is,
It's neither here nor there.
The hormone argument that Neil deGrasse Tyson is making, he's trying to get himself out of a hole. And basically, the hole is this. And Piers pointed out very good. Look, in the Olympics, he didn't let Piers finish it. I think he knew where Piers was going. You had a male boxer in the Olympics that was identifying female that they let go in there, and he almost killed somebody, right? Same weight, hormones showed up the same because he was taking the hormones, but it didn't change the fact that for 21 years, he had grown into lung capacity, muscle mass, and everything else male. And at 128 pounds, whatever his weight class was, he was a beast. And then, nope, I'll take these drugs, I'll get this hormone stuff. But he's still, what was that skeletal muscle mass that she was facing? A guy.
It was a dude.
And Neil deGrasse Tyson's trying to dig himself out of a hole. God bless him.
And I agree with you 100%. It's like you're the dumbest smart person I've ever met in my life. But my question to you is, what would make someone that smart, that educated, say something like this? And we talked about this conversation in the past about the hill that you want to die on, your conviction. What is it? Is it just for to be relevant? Because he will not stop talking about this. He just did Bill Maher. He talked about it again. And then he's talking crap about Elon Musk and Mars and how is it just to stay relevant because nobody's talking about him and his ties?
Pride and ego?
That's what I was just going to say that. What do you think?
I don't know. I think, the one thing you have to be very careful with is when you're going through a position, like, for example, one of the things why this show does well is we comfortably debate. Mm-hmm. And we walk away and we're good. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's see what happens.
Nothing leaves this room.
And it's like, you know what? That was a wrong argument, guys. Yeah, we were right on this one. We got that one wrong. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Huh. Okay. Boom. You're kind of going back and forth with it, right? This guy cannot stand the idea of being wrong. He cannot stand the idea of being wrong. And he was wrong. Period. So, the walking on eggshell community? You ever, ever had a parent or a coach or somebody that everything was walking on eggshells, had to be perfect? It's very uncomfortable to be around it, right? Like some fathers are like that. Don't do that. No. It's everything, right? There's standards, there's expectation, but then there's walking on eggshells, perfection, solving for perfection. And when you try to solve for perfection, it's a miserable place to be because everybody fails. Nobody reaches that. You're going to be wrong at times, and you're going to lose at times. Anytime I get into a conversation with somebody, I'll never forget what Trump said. He said, why would I debate again? Why would I do that again? So let's just say it doesn't work out in my favor. He says, you remember that one thing he did right before he came to us, which was the Bloomberg thing with that guy. They talked about tariffs.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that. And he says, yeah, you know what? Before I went, they told me not to do it. He said, because, sometimes you lose these debates. And you go and you're like, I'm going to go. I'm either going to lose or I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. He's just kind of openly talking about it, right? Everybody is wrong at times. Everybody. Neil's having a hard time because he thinks he's better than that. Mm-hmm. And in this position, the more he goes here, the further he's going to lose credibility and the more unattractive it's going to be. People are going to move on. There's plenty of people in the marketplace to follow than Neil deGrasse Tyson. The world doesn't need Neil. Neil needs the world. Like, for example, the world needs Trump, okay? It's not like Trump also needs the voters, but the world needs somebody like that to go do something. The world needs an Elon Musk
1,000%.
That's willing to put money on the table to buy X. There is nothing the world needs Neil deGrasse Tyson for. Think about what I just said right there to you. Nothing. What do you need him for?
Zero.
No, when there's, it's like, boom, great. The level of contribution that Trump and other guys, relax. You're not that important. It's going back to that, Marcus Aurelius with a slave in his ear saying, you're just a man, you're just a man, you're just a man. Neil, you're smart, but you're just a man. It's okay. Let's rebrand and move forward so you can find a following like Bill Maher had to recreate himself. I think he needs to go through that.
I'll just be real quick. In finance, they say the worst thing you can do is throw good money after bad. You made a bad investment, cut your losses, move on. But when you lose and you're losing money, you're like, no, I'm going to try again. Like, have you ever been to Vegas before? And all right, I lost 10 grand. Oh man, I'm going to try to win it back. Boom. Now you're down 20 grand. Holy crap. And you keep doubling down and you basically keep losing more money. That's exactly what Neil deGrasse Tyson is doing. He's doubling down on this woman is a man, man is a woman, XY chromosome thing, and nobody's buying it. And Vinny said, is this the hill you really want to die on?
Yeah.
This is it?
Yeah.
You're an astrophysicist. You're smart. You're funny. You're humorous. You make space and space exploration relatable.
Yeah.
And you're diluting and ruining your brand over wanting women to compete with men in sports. Makes no sense to me. Do better, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
The word
You're better
ass
than
is
this.
an astrophysicist. I don't know where he's going. So
Let's go to this next story. Let's go. We got a bunch of stories to go through. So let's go to this next story. Jay-Z denies allegations he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old, I was about to say boy, but it's not a boy. It's a 13-year-old in 2000 with Sean Diddy Combs. So the story says that. Rob, if you can pull up the story with this. Okay. So a lawsuit filed against Sean Diddy Combs now alleges if he can find their response, because Jay-Z actually responded. There's actually a response, and I want to read
it was
that
Rock
for the
Nation,
audience.
right? And I think they might have taken it down after. Just give.
I have it. I have it anyway.
No, yeah,
so
okay.
if you don't have
Okay.
it, I have it.
Okay.
But it should be someone for him to respond. So, okay, Sean Diddy Combs now includes allegations that Jay-Z, Sean Carter sexually assaulted Jane Doe, who was 13 at the time, at an after-party 2000 Video Music Awards. Doe alleges she felt woozy after consuming a drink, then wandered into a bedroom where Carter raped her first, followed by Combs. Carter called the allegations so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one, and said whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. The lawsuit claims Carter responded to mediation requests with a frivolous lawsuit and accusations of harassment against Doe's legal team. It states Jay-Z responded to said letter by orchestrating a conspiracy of harassment, bullying, and intimidation against plaintiffs' lawyers, their families, employees, and former associates in an attempt to silence plaintiff. In his statement to CNN, Carter labeled the mediation effort a blackmail effort and remarked that those lawyers seem to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. Is this their response, Rob?
Yes.
And is this from him? Because he actually responded.
I think because it says my lawyer received a blackmail attempt.
Yeah.
So
this is what it's saying. The internet is saying that this is Jay-Z's response.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Rob?
Sure.
My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had been calculated as the nature of these allegations and public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect and made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in very public fashion. So, no, I will not give you one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I've read that already. These alleged victims would deserve real justice if it were the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern. I have no idea how you come to such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby. I promise you, I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims. By the way, very well written. You think he wrote this here?
Yeah.
And explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes to true victims who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment, thinking that all celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the projects of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honors. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, physics, will believe this idiotic claim you have levied against me that, if not for the serious surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. Tom.
So I break this down, and first, it's very subtle. It's very subtle, Vinny, but you can detect Jay-Z indicating, again, you really got to read between the lines, that he's not going to negotiate, right? It's hard to see, but it looks like he's not going to negotiate. But there's a line in here. I love to dissect these things. And first of all, I think this was written by a spokesperson, taking nothing against Jay-Z and his capabilities, but this really appears to be written by a legal publicist. This is the way they write. This is their style. So one of the things he says is, I implore you to file criminal, not civil. And when I saw that this morning, I didn't have time before the show, but I wanted to look up the statute of limitations, Pat, and to see whether this is chargeable. I don't know. I actually do not know at this hour. But when I see something like that, I go, oh, is this potentially outside the chargeable window? The statute of limitations applies. Because remember what happened two summers ago when they moved the date in New York State, New York City? All those women came out with those Me Too suits because they had a deadline date, remember? Otherwise, the statute of limitations was going to come. That's what I see this. So this is a standard response from a legal publicist, and that can be the words and tone and opinion of Jay-Z, but I think it was written by a legal publicist into the form that they use, ambulance chaser, cheap suit. All of those are kind of stock words they use. My question is, has the statute of limitations moved on this? Question one. And question two, with all due respect to Jay-Z, there's an awful lot of pictures of you running around in your undies at parties with Diddy. And so you were at some of these parties. It's not like there's no photographs that America's going in, hey, is that a young Jay-Z running around in his underwear with Diddy at a party? Huh. When you see that, it's hard to walk away from that visual.
And so, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this or not. Tony Busby isn't an ambulance chasing. He is probably one of the most successful lawyers in the United States. So I don't believe none of that BS. So I did some digging. So apparently he got sued by an unnamed person. He won't name the person. And this person had hired private investigators to go through Busby's life, talk to ex-employees, ex-clients, because they wanted to get as much dirt on him as possible. And they basically approached him and said, hey, if you don't back down with suing this random person, I think we all know who it is, we're going to expose everything. So you know what he does? He comes out with the Jay-Z alleging raping a 13-year-old girl. And now, again, all allegations, but from what the questioning is with this girl, this 13-year-old girl knows everything about this house, from the driveway to the paint inside the building. She knows everything. And it's like...
She did?
She did. She's saying this in the lawsuit. That's what they're saying, allegedly. But at what point, guys, and I get it, all we always hear is rumors. We never have proof. Every time it comes to these children who are the most neglected people in this freaking country, we know it because of the border and the sex trafficking and all that. When are we going to start listening to some of these people that the media and the left consider crazy? Kanye West tried to warn us about Jay-Z. Cat Williams warned us about Jay-Z and Beyonce. MIA told us about satanic rituals. And I'm telling you from experience, and Adam knows this guy too, they do that type of stuff in Hollywood. I know people that have said firsthand, Vinny, it's disgusting. I left, I turned to Christianity, and these people they were never Christians, okay? They turned to it, and like MIA, all these people, Jaguar Wright, are any of these people, are we ever going to go, okay, yeah, they're not crazy? Maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. And Diddy, at least he got arrested, but all these people, depending on the lawyer that you have and the money that you have, the wealth that you have, it depends if you're going to get in trouble and not. And then what if this girl, they're probably going to settle out of court anyway. She'll probably get $10 million, and he'll never see jail. Ever. And that's the saddest part.
So as the story goes, it's the year 2000 and it's the Video Music Awards. And at an after party, Jay-Z allegedly does this to a 13-year-old girl. Okay. So I went to year 2000. I saw what were the best songs back then. We're talking Outkast, Miss Jackson, Eminem, The Real Slim Shady, Jay-Z, Big Pimpin'. So you're telling me that after a Video Music Awards that ends at probably midnight, they get to an after party, 1, 2 in the morning. Why is a 13-year-old girl even there? Why is she even there? Is nobody asking questions when she's in the room? Who's bringing this person? And then this lawsuit is brought up 24 years later out of nowhere with this Diddy allegations. It smells like a shakedown. It smells like terrorists are trying to get money from Jay-Z. The letter that he wrote was like, hell no, I'm denying this. This ain't legit. I'm not negotiating with terrorists. Something tells me this is a complete shakedown. We'll see how the facts shake out. We'll see what happens. But this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. 24 years later, out of nowhere, during the Diddy allegations, oh, by the way, Jay-Z too. Smells pretty shady to me.
Let me counter the argument, Adam. I've never been sexually assaulted or raped when I was 13. I have no idea what's happening, how fearful you are of these people, the fear, the shock of going through this thing, probably not telling anybody. And then maybe when you see people starting to come out, besides the money thing, and I get parents and whatever, and shame on them for even exposing them to that. And I sent Rob a clip of Diddy flirting with a freaking 13-year-old actress, DeVay Chase, going, hey, you going to the after party? I don't know what goes on in these these lives of these people that have gone through the trauma. Who knows? But if it is true, the sad thing is it might not ever be held accountable. This is him inviting a 13-year-old girl to the after party. I sent you a longer clip, Robbie, at the beginning, but it was at some award show. But play that one, Robbie, just so they can hear it.
Coming to the after party tonight?
13 years old.
Well, that's Diddy.
I'm
doing so good.
I just want to say,
why would you want to invite a 13-year-old to that?
Because he's a dirtbag. That has nothing to do with Jay-Z.
Hold on.
So why are we looping in Jay-Z?
They all hang out. Hold on.
No. They hang out together.
Hold on. Have you ever heard, and Adam, do you know about the hip-hop world? Have you ever heard the rumors about how young, do you know when Jay-Z met Beyonce? 18 years old? I'm not saying anything, but these people.
But when did he marry her?
Hold on, he married her. Yeah, he was 30-some years old. She was
28 when he married her.
Okay, so you don't think he thought she was hot when she was 18 or 16?
I don't know what Jay-Z was thinking.
Adam, birds of a feather flock together, bro. You're acting like these people don't all do the same shit.
You're doing something very
No, I'm not.
dangerous
No,
here.
I'm not.
You're looping in Jay-Z.
I don't trust any of them.
Diddy.
That's my opinion, Adam.
Let me ask you a question. Were Jay-Z and Diddy ever best friends?
I wouldn't say best friends, but they were close in New York, for sure. They hung out a lot. It was Bad Boy, and it was, yes, they were cool.
Did you ever
never
watch?
set of the same record label. They were.
Combs and Jay-Z, the kids' long friendship in the spotlight.
They're boys,
is this CNN or who is this, Rob?
This is CNN.
Gola Lore. So the chorus for Jean de Gonzalez, do you like it? Do you want it? Which also features Jay-Z asking a prophetic question. Want to know what it's like to be me at the time when it comes to was Sean Carter. Well, both are Purdue businessmen, top charts, commander. But there seems to be seemingly no rivalry. Back in 2009, Combs was asked by a reporter if he remembered a photo showing him in a conversation with Carter. Combs explained the moment that he had been captured at his birthday party. Jay-Z had flown in specifically to attend, even though he had limited time. Combs recalled, people see us as competitors and different icons in the hip-hop game, but that was just a moment of two black brothers telling each other how much they appreciate each other. Years later, as Combs, yeah. I mean, look, if you have guys who have reputations like this and you stay close to them, I don't know if you had a reputation back then. If you're in it, people know, when someone's doing what they're doing. Like, it's not like you don't know when someone's got a reputation and what they're up to. It's very simple. The more you hang out with it, it's going to hurt you. Now, if you think about it, when was the time Jay-Z met with Buffett? Can you type in the time Jay-Z met with Warren Buffett? Mates with Warren Buffett. What year was that? What year was it when they met? Was it 12 years ago, 10 years ago? What's the year when they met? First time when he spoke to him. 13-year-old.
2010,
okay.
It looks like.
So that's 14 years ago when they met. And when did he distance himself from Diddy? Like, if you were to say when he distanced himself, when would you say they distanced themselves? Is it a 2010 thing? Because sometimes, here's how life also works. He used to sell, didn't he sell weed in the streets of New York?
No. Jay-Z was a drug dealer when he was.
Yeah, Jay-Z sold crack. Okay. So you go from that to then you make millions, to then you make tens of millions, to then you're now being approached by some smart people that see that you're going to be a billionaire and want to make money with you. Then you're like, dude, I got to recreate my brand because my brand is this. Mm-hmm. So then a publicist comes in and rebrands you. Then you distance yourself from certain people and get closer to certain people. And then you're like, hey, you can't hang out with this guy, with that guy, with this guy. But unfortunately, if you did something with this guy and it's following you this many years later, look, the way I read the letter, here's what the letter read like. it read. Do you remember Alan Dershowitz when he was asked about Epstein? He says, I actually want you to investigate it. I actually want you. Have you ever seen this exchange when they're like, you remember this or no? When it's kind of like
when he did it with the guy Muhammad.
Yeah, and then he goes like this. He puts his arms up.
Very, very nervous.
Yeah. So he says, I want you to investigate. I actually want you to go out there and investigate him. On what happened with Epstein. I want you to do that. Yeah, I want you to go through it. I want you to do your research. Is that a power play? Is that a position you take to kind of show strength? Is that who maybe somebody's giving feedback? Or is that really who Jay-Z is to say, hey, man, don't get me involved with names like this? Who knows? I don't know if I even see Jay-Z myself. Diddy? I think I've never been a fan of Diddy. Never. He just never given me good vibes, whether it's Biggie, whether it's Tupac, any of that. I've never gotten that vibe from Jay-Z, ever. That Jay was that kind of a guy. By the way, again, never hung out with him. I've never met him. I've never met him. The only person I've been at a game with was Diddy, not the other one. We're going to see what's going to happen. But if this goes through the way it does, could a part of this also be the fact that Diddy is going down the crab theory? You ever heard of crab theory? When one crab tries to get out of the what do you call it? The bucket
of crabs, the crab
everybody else pulling back down. Is this kind of like Diddy saying, hey man, yo, don't forget that night. You and I know. You know and I know. Don't do this, dog. If you don't back me up and do this, I'm telling everybody, could this be Diddy's work behind closed doors? I don't know.
I want to add one thing, and this is,
I don't know.
We got to be cautious. You know, the whole guilty by association thing. Okay, so just because you're a rapper and you're friends with another rapper doesn't mean that you did what the other rapper did. So let's use a sports analogy. Tom Brady, greatest quarterback of all time. His tight end was Rob Gronkowski, Gronk. Hold on. There was actually 2 tight ends on that team that won the Super Bowl. One guy was named Aaron Hernandez. Absolute scumbag who went to jail for murder, and I think he ended up killing himself, I want to say, double murder. That doesn't mean Tom Brady's guilty of anything.
Okay,
that doesn't mean Rob Gronkowski's.
That's 2 different.
No, what I'm saying is just because Jay-Z's a rapper and friends with
by the way,
Diddy doesn't mean that he did any
this.
of this.
Humberto just sent this. Go ahead and play. This is 24 years ago. Go ahead.
That ain't 24 years ago.
That's 2020.
Oh, gotcha.
2016. You know, the game has been elevated.
You can pause it because
they're billionaire.
It's music.
Billionaire lunch.
Right next to each other.
Yeah.
Friends.
And this is a billionaire brunch or something like that. But here's my question to you, Adam. Here, can I ask you one question? Let's just say it's true. Okay? This 13-year-old girl is actually telling the truth. Okay? Devil's advocate. What's going to happen to Jay-Z? Because, hold on, before you answer. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein hanged himself. Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for 25 years for selling human beings. Not one person. We haven't seen one person go down. So that means we all know that everybody's involved. Cut to Diddy. Diddy's the hip hop Epstein. Who's going to go down? Do you think no names? I don't think anything's going to happen. If it is true and this poor girl was raped by these people at this party, what's going to happen to the people involved? Be honest with yourself.
But let me put it to you this way.
Nothing.
Just saying. If anything actually did happen, it's disgusting. It's vile.
Yes, I get that.
Everyone should be in jail for life. But if they didn't do it,
okay,
what then happens?
They should be.
Are you going to apologize?
No, hold on.
Are they going to apologize?
I didn't say they did anything.
So it's so easy. We live in a day.
It's the girl.
We live in a times when anything can accuse anybody. Anybody can accuse anybody. And then we get on the airwaves and we're like, he's a scumbag. You have no fucking proof.
You're putting words in my. I never accused him of anything.
It's anyone that just based saying, Diddy, we've seen tons of proof.
But what if Jay-Z's just better at covering his tracks, Adam? Some people are better. He's out there. I'm just saying. I didn't accuse anybody of anything. But if it is true, they should burn.
I agree.
By the way,
if it is true, but if there's not, you should retract your statement.
I didn't say anything. I didn't accuse anybody of anything.
Yesterday, I'm talking to John Gotti Jr. He's on the podcast. We're doing a long interview together. And he's telling me the times that he fought Rico and then his father, the Teflon Don, he'd walk out. First man ever to beat Rico was John Gotti.
Yep.
His father,
yeah,
not
I remember.
himself, right? And it comes out, he's like, hey, look at this, and all this other stuff. And then the last hour and a half, it's his defense. Rob, would you say about an hour and a half?
That's a good amount, yeah.
He makes a case on why his meeting with the FBI, the feds, the 40-minute meeting he had with the feds was not being a rat. That's the case he made. because he was going after Sammy. And then he says, but my meeting with Fed, so it's kind of like going back and forth. And by the way, this is the case with everybody in that world. The level of pride for Omerta, you let my interpretation, you let the Gambino family, the Bonanno family, the Colombo family, you let them down, right? Genovese family, you let them down. Okay. But the one story was when this lawyer figured out a way to use RICO to go after all the guys and how many got arrested on the same day. Let me tell you, though, if Diddy goes down, I'll give you a guarantee, Vinny. If Diddy goes down and he's alive, you're going to see a picture of 50, 100 people going down.
Hope so.
If
genuinely
Diddy
hope so.
goes down, 100 people are going down.
And
So you know what the only solution is? They have to Epstein Diddy before any of this stuff leaks.
Or Maxwell Diddy. That for whatever reason, she's in jail and she's checkmated.
No way, because Maxwell doesn't have the kind of power Diddy had. Okay? Maxwell doesn't have the kind, no, you're right, but Maxwell doesn't have the kind of money that Diddy has. Maxwell's a woman that wants protection. Diddy's a man that has dirt on everybody. They can't let him live. I'm telling you, if let's just say, if let's just say all these stories are right, if let's just say NBA players, political folks, everybody, and then Cash Patel and Trump and those guys just won, let me tell you, the whole hip-hop game may be going through a entire set of crisis that you've never seen before, if he's right.
And this is also us seeing life play out fully documented. In the old days, the Rat Pack got together, and there were rumors that the Rat Pack were Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and I think there was one more. Anyway, that was the
Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra.
Right. Yeah. And they were alleged.
Comedian.
They had alleged gone to
Joey Bishop.
Went to parties and pulled people in there, including Hollywood starlets, and bad things happened. It was not a documented era of camera phones. It wasn't where every time you run around a corner, there is documentation. Exactly. And I appreciate you are innocent until proven guilty, and these are merely allegations that are being made by a third party against Jay-Z. What it does not help Jay-Z, and he knows it, is not one picture, but multiple pictures showing you and other witnesses who have said, yeah, Jay-Z was at the party. They didn't say, I saw him in a room do this. But they're saying, Jay-Z was at that party. I remember this party and this party. This was the AMA Awards. This party was NBA All-Star Game. And you're seeing pictures. That doesn't help Jay-Z. And it's a warning to people today. Who you hang with and the parties you go to and the infinite life of any documentation at party is a warning to everybody today.
Well, we'll see. All I know is if one goes down, everybody's going down. He ain't going to sit there and not pull everybody else down with him. There's no question about
that. I agree with.
Yeah. Okay, next story here. Syrian rebels topple Assad, transforming the Middle East. This is a Reuters story, and we've been hearing about this all over the place. You know, Netanyahu hails historic fall of Bashar Assad in Syria, credits Israeli attack on Hezbollah, Iran. Rob, whichever one of these clips you want to fire off. You know, stories on Elon Musk's, our tax dollars are somehow funding both sides. I mean, these are back-to-back-to-back stories. If you want to play, let me just read this one here, and then we'll go to Netanyahu's clip. Syrian rebels, led by Abu Mohammed al-Golani, captured Damascus unopposed, ending more than 5 decades of Assad family rule. Golani addressed a crown of Umayyad mosque, proclaiming a new history, my brothers, being written in this entire region after this great victory, and pledged to build a beacon for the Islamic nation. Thousands celebrated in Damascus, chanting freedom and reclaiming public spaces, while freed prisoners ran through the streets declaring, we topple the regime. The overthrow of Bashar al-Assad disrupted Russian and Iranian influence in the Middle East, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling it a direct result of blow Israel dealt to Iran and Hezbollah. Rob, if you have that clip, we can play it. Assad location remains unknown, with Russian officials confirming he fled Syria. Hezbollah, a key ally, withdrew all remaining forces from Syria and Iranian-backed sites, including in Damascus, were reportedly targeted by Israeli strikes even after Assad's capture. Here's Netanyahu.
Middle East. The collapse of the Assad regime, the tyranny in Damascus, offers great opportunity, but also is fraught with significant dangers. This collapse is a direct result of our forceful action against Hezbollah and Iran, Assad's main supporters. It set off a chain reaction of all those who want to free themselves from this tyranny and its suppression. But it also means we have to take action against possible threats. One of them is the collapse of the Separation of Forces Agreement from 1974 between Israel and Syria. This agreement held for 50 years. Last night it collapsed. The Syrian army abandoned its positions. We gave the Israeli army the order to take over these positions to ensure that no hostile force embeds itself right next to the border of Israel. This is a temporary defensive position until a suitable arrangement is found. Equally, we send a hand of peace to all those beyond our border in Syria, to the Druze, to the Kurds, to the Christians, and to the Muslims who want to live in peace with Israel. We're going to follow events very carefully. If we can establish neighborly relations and a peaceful relations with the new forces emerging in Syria, that's our desire. But if we do not, we'll do whatever it takes to defend the state of Israel and the border of Israel.
Tom.
I think that's pretty clear. I think what he's talking about, and Adam, help me out here on history, he's talking about the Golan Heights area. The Golan Heights area was effectively a DMZ because Syria attacked Israel from that position and was pushed back. And so Israel, when they pushed people back, they established that land as a military patrol zone. So that was Israel permanently sitting on what used to be part of Syria in the Golan Heights to set that up. And so they're basically saying, hey, we're going to be, if you believe Netanyahu, it says there's a lot of different, and he's pointing out the complexity. What did he say? There's Druze, there's Christians, Kurds, and by the way, Muslims that are mostly the agrarian Muslims who are out there, farms and things like that, that really don't want anything to do with the conflict. They just want to live like everybody else is living out there. And, I see positive signs in this, but make no mistake, what he's talking about is we are stepping over into Golan Heights, into what used to be sort of a DMZ, and we're going to maintain a buffer there. That is going to make a lot of people cringe because now they're going to see that as almost like the permanent Jewish settlements. And I think Netanyahu knows that, but nonetheless, that's what's going on there.
So there's so much to unpack here. Let me try to go very quickly. So Syria is the new powder keg that caused World War I. And has the potential to be an absolute free-for-all. So Bibi Netanyahu, let's start with that. He talked about neighborly relations. Look at Israel's neighbor and the issues that are surrounding Israel. I've said this multiple times. Israel's the nicest house in the worst neighborhood. In their neighborhood, you have Hamas, you have Hezbollah, you have the Syrian terrorists, you got Al-Qaeda, you got ISIS, and these are their neighbors. Imagine those are your neighbors, how you would act as the only democracy in the Middle East. So he says he wants to establish neighborly relations. This is what's going on all around him. So, they say that truth passes through 3 phases. First, you're ridiculed, then you're violently opposed, then it's accepted as self-evident. Israel is the only stable government in that entire region over there. I'm not talking about the Gulf with Kuwait and UAE and Saudi and Qatar over there. Hello, PBD. So in 10 days, the 50-year rule of the Assads toppled. Now, where's Assad now? Political asylum in where? Moscow, Russia. Thanks, Putin. How did he get so aligned with Putin? Well, do you know the story of the al-Assad regime, PBD?
Yeah.
What do you know?
Tell us.
Okay. So his father, who was the Syrian president, I believe in 1971, I'm going to give you his name, Hafiz al-Assad.
God bless you.
He assumed power, no problem. He is Alawite. Do you know what Alawite is? So there's the Sunnis and the Shiites. The Alawites, I guess, are an offshoot of the Shia Muslim. I think they're only 10% of Syria. So they're the ruling class, the elite class in Syria that is predominantly Sunni, even Shiite as well. So they're sort of like the rich kids who took over.
Alawite, you said it was?
Alawite, exactly.
I thought that was a brand of socks. All right.
Thank you, Tom.
Alawite is kind of like Baha'i.
Baha'i, exactly.
Yes, go for it.
So, and it's
like Mormonism for Christians.
Okay, and so he came to power with the Ba'ath Party in 1971, centralized power, aligned himself with USSR during the Cold War, so we'll get back to Russia. He was in power from, I believe, 1971 to 2000. In the mid-90s, Bashar al-Assad's brother was supposed to take over, the eldest son, Basil al-Assad, but he unfortunately died in a car accident. So here's this guy, Bashar al-Assad, the number 2 son. You know the number 1 son usually assumes power. Do you know what his role was before he became this dictator in Syria? Do you know what he was? He was an eye doctor. He had no political aspirations. He was studying to become an eye doctor. His brother was supposed to be the king and the ruler. Boom, his brother dies, car accident. He assumes power. So he's the president, dictator, 10 years. In 10 years, 2011, do you remember what happened in the Middle East in 2011? The Arab Spring. All these countries, starting with, I believe, Tunisia, were crying for democracy. So in Egypt, Hosni Mubarak was the president, 30-year run, came to an end. Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, boom, he's out. So Yemen, Syria, all these civil wars take place in the Middle East. Hundreds of thousands of people have been dead. In Syria alone, do you know how many people died in the civil war? 500,000. Did you see all the college protests?
Yeah.
About Syria and Lebanon and Yemen? Zero college protests. Nothing going on. No Jews, no news. Anyway, so 500,000 people dead in Syria, zero word whatsoever. Half a million people done in Yemen, zero word whatsoever. The double standard is palpable. We all know that. So boom, as everything that's taking place over the last year and a half takes place, Russia's fighting Ukraine. They're preoccupied. Israel is fighting Iran, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas. They're all preoccupied. The Iranian axis of resistance has basically met their foe in the form of the IDF. And all of a sudden, when these Sunni rebels say, listen, guys, here's our chance. Let's do it. Let's go. They take Aleppo, boom, 2 days, done. They take Homs, boom, done. They come for Damascus. In 10 days, the entire Syrian government dissolved. Bashar al-Assad runs out to Russia. He asked them for help. He asked Iran for help. They said, sorry, we have no money. We have no troops. We've basically been disabled by the IDF. He asked Russia for help. They said, sorry, we're fighting Ukraine. So lo and behold, all the money that we've been spending helping our allies actually helped sort of topple this ridiculous regime. Have you ever seen the video? Have you ever seen any of the videos of what Bashar al-Assad did to his own people, gassing them, murdering them, lining them up? Syrian Nazis is who Bashar al-Assad is. So do I have any sympathy for Bashar al-Assad? Zero. Here's the question. Who are the biggest winners and losers of all this? The biggest loser by far, Loserville, Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran. They've been funding billions of dollars to these Islamic terrorists all over the Middle East. Hamas, Houthis, Hezbollah. They're all finished. They're done. The Syrian regime, Bashar al-Assad, was their number 1 benefactor. They're done. So number 2 loser here, Russia. They've been weakened completely. Who are the winners here? Well, the Syrian people. They have a chance to carve their own path here. If they want democracy, if they want to have a path for an amazing life, here's their chance to take it. Now, will there be Islamists? Will there be jihadists? Will there be extremists? Basically that try to take over the country? Of course, but the USA. Do you know USA has bombed, I think, 70 different ISIS locations in the last few days? Israel has come in. They already own the Golan Heights. They came into the highest mountain in the region. I think it's called Mount Hermon in Syria, looking straight down at Damascus. They're basically saying, okay, ISIS, okay, extremists, you want to go? We'll rain fire down on you. So this is going to reshape the Middle East.
This is when
those white phosphorus coming out of the sky.
We're going to see what happens to this. So here's the biggest challenge, because Elon Musk said the following. He said, our tax dollars are somehow funding both sides. Yes. Have you ever seen that Spider-Man meme when they're all just pointing at each other? Good luck Do you want the devil that you know or the devil that you don't know? Do you want authoritarians? Do you want dictators running a country? Or do you want Islamists and you want jihadists? I don't know. I don't trust any of them. But what I do know is I hope the Syrian people take this opportunity to carve a life that they want and not dictated by authoritarians.
Thank you for unpacking that. You're a student of this. Can I ask you a question? So if the U.S. election went the other way, what happens to Bashar? Does he get help or not get help? Because right now with Trump, I could see how the Russians are like, yeah, you want to get an apartment here? Maybe you can get an apartment here, but we're not going to jump in and help you militarily.
Well, I don't know what happened, but what I do know is this. The man who is the head of the HTS is what they're called, Abu Muhammad al-Jawani. He was a former ISIS Al-Qaeda member, and he has basically come out and America said he's saying all the right things. He did an interview, I think, with
CNN.
He said the following: "We do not seek to be America's enemy. We do not have extremist ideology. Minorities are welcome. If you're Christian or if you're Alawite, you can celebrate Christmas. We'll see if that happens."
I just saw them. I just saw them executing Christians on video.
Exactly. So we'll see if that happens. What is encouraging, I would hope, is he's more of an advocate of Syrian nationalism than pan-national jihadism. So, in other words, he's trying to make Syria great again. We'll see what they do.
Well, first of all, CNN interviewed that guy, Julani. He's fighting the Assad regime. They make him look like he's a cool guy, just like with Soleimani. They said he's a freedom fighter. He's a moderate. He has a $10 million bounty on his head by us. And now all of a sudden, we're praising his ass. He's wanted for a bunch of massacres, but we'll talk about that later. My problem is, in the past 7 days, Biden has pledged to give another $1 billion to rebuild Africa, another $1 billion, another $1 billion while everything is happening. And now he wants to help rebuild Syria, Tom, with God knows how much money. Meanwhile, you guys remember that little hurricane that hit North Carolina? I'm seeing videos every day. They're homeless, they're suffering, and they're freaking dying in the streets, okay? But let's not forget how this whole Syria situation happened. Do you guys remember a little CIA covert operation called Timber Sycamore, where Obama and Brennan sent the freaking CIA in there to overtake Assad? And guess what? They failed. And they left all the weapons there. And what happened, Tom? ISIS is formed, and all these people are formed. And some people would say arming the enemy is treason. I mean, if you want to just say that. But I just think when it comes to that, man, we have experience because we're Middle Eastern. Like Saddam Hussein, as much as he was an evil, murdering piece of scum, and so were his kids, they needed him. Like, it's weird to say. I know my cousin's married to an Iraqi woman. She was crying, and she's like, Vinny, everything was okay. He knew how to keep everybody at bay. Saddam Hussein, they took him out, and look what the hell happened. Look what happened when you took that guy out. And this is a direct result of it. Now they took out Assad. I don't know, man. And look, you're already seeing Christians getting freaking crucified. We're going to be screwed. The Christians there are going to get effed over, okay?
These are Christians, by the way, over there, Rob, if you want to play this clip.
There you go. That's what you get for loving Jesus Christ. Yeah. And they love this regime, right? United States is like, yeah, he's better than Assad. Yeah. Yeah, I guess what's going to happen to these guys after that video. So, I don't know.
You know what I want to say? I don't want to hear shit about bashing Israel anymore. Who's America's ally in the region? For sure, Israel. Who else? You trust Syria? You trust Lebanon?
Jordan.
You trust the Palestinians? You trust Jordan? I don't know. We have a base there. You trust Afghanistan? You trust Saudi? Maybe. I don't know. So we're part of 9/11. I'm not saying Israel is some innocent bystander that has never done anything wrong. But enough's enough here. Israel is the only country in the Middle East that is stable, that can basically help U.S., our vested interests, our best interests aligned, and we trust Israel.
But do you know that Netanyahu today, their leader, he's going on trial today for the fraud, breach, and trust for accepting bribes and stuff. He's actually
so is Trump, buddy.
He's testifying
So is
today.
Trump, buddy. Enough's enough.
I don't know why you get mad. I'm just saying. Jeez, relax. I'm just saying all this is happening. The guy's actually going on trial because he was supposed to go on trial October 7th. He's finally going on trial today. Why are you getting mad at me? I just want to make a point.
He is the Trump of Israel. So if you want to criticize Netanyahu, criticize Trump.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I wouldn't put him in the same
All
category.
right. So meanwhile, Assad, Snowden, and Assange are all looking for a fourth so they can play bridge.
That's basically that. Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's do the last story before we wrap up. Rob, if you want to go there, because my voice is getting very.
You sound. Can I ask you? It's very
Batman-ish.
gangster, but then bedroom.
Where is she?
Rob, play the clip with Anna Navarro and Whoopi Goldberg having a friendly exchange over whether it's time to panic about Trump.
I love this.
Go ahead, Rob.
He does this to keep you all in a panic. He does it to make you all do this and talk about it, but it's so terrible. But we have to do from now until January 21st is be with our families, be with our kids, do our jobs, make sure our checks don't bounce, make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and our families. Whatever he's going to do, he's going to do. But do take our word for it. Things seem to move slowly because, yeah, they didn't come get Hillary. But he has other people who are ready to go. But I don't think that they can just go out and do what they want.
I told you last week. I told you last week I disagree with you when you say that because we have the luxury of saying that because we're legal, we are successful, we are. But if you're an illegal immigrant in this country, you're not going to be not in a panic. If you are a woman working for the Department of Defense, you have a right to be in a panic.
You tell people to stay fraught and like this.
I'm telling people to prepare, Whoopi. I'm telling people to prepare.
They are prepared.
So that means
I'm saying
that means
people,
that they can't be relaxing and enjoying Christmas.
No, it doesn't mean that.
When winter is coming.
No, it does. You know what?
Winter's here.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I disagree.
Winter is here. Winter's been with us. And my point is we can lay down and do nothing for the next 15 days and then be freaking out for the next 4 or 2 years.
To you is we are in a privileged position that a lot of people who are going to be under his attack
who
are
is
not.
going through the same thing.
I want his enemies listening. I'm not panicking.
Yeah.
Like, we just have to
We have to figure out what we're panicking of America. We don't know what we're panicking for. They're throwing 50,000 things at you to make you do this. I'm saying don't buy into that.
Which one is quiet?
Do what you have to do.
You know why?
Eating their own. Eating their own. I love it.
And when we know what it
Why is that one girl quiet? Because she doesn't want to read a legal statement tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's the one they make look in the camera and read the legal statement.
You're actually right. Sonny Hostin was pretty quiet.
Quiet.
I'm
not
sick and tired of these lawyers coming telling me what to say. I'm done with this.
And do you see the mentality? Whoopi's like, guys, whatever's gonna happen was gonna happen. And then Navarro is like, yeah, but what about people that are illegally in this country? They're gonna panic, as they should. You broke the law by coming into our freaking country. And she goes, especially if they're in the DOJ. What? Illegals are working in the DOJ? I watched this. This is what people have those sleep machines where they hear like white noise. And I was watching that. This was making me happy. And I fell asleep to these idiots eating their own. I love this.
Oh,
stuff.
we're successful. How dare you call yourself
shut up.
successful?
Yeah.
You haven't built a business. You haven't built jobs. You haven't sweating. Putting people, and getting paychecks for people. You're not successful. You're well-paid celebrity. There's a difference, chick.
Yeah, and you want to talk about division? Division. These are the ones that cause the division that we were talking about at the beginning of the show. It's that it shows like this. This is what, and I wish one day the camera.
I'm going to tell you. After Tom's comment, I feel like I'm in some Chick-fil-A.
Really?
Go ahead, Adam.
I'll just say one thing. I've never watched one episode of The View.
Nobody has.
I don't know what they talk. Never want.
Adam.
Only
Adam.
I'm a lifetime subscriber.
At your desk.
I just learned that Vinny falls asleep to watching The View.
I love it. Well, I love watching this.
Unbelievable.
They're going to use it for a Clockwork Orange remake.
All right, gang. It's been great spending time with you. Quick shout out to the crew in the back. There was no issues beginning to the end. We start with a shout out. We finish with a shout out. And I think the Gotti interview goes out tomorrow, Rob, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And then do we have Home Team again Thursday?
Yes, sir.
Gang, we will see you guys on Thursday. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.